Hey everybody, it's Christine, and today I am up with Simple Stories, and I'm using their new Valentine's collection. I decided not to go with a Valentine's layout as much as focusing on a couple layout. And so, what I decided to do was to document our dating story from 2020. So, I'm using some patterned papers to create a grid background. I'm just using 4 of them, and I'm doing about 5 by 5 inch squares. And you can see that I did 2 of the aqua blue color and then 2 of pink shades, but the pink shades are different. One's lighter and one's darker. And I did that just to have some variety and just basically because of the paper choices that I went with. So I intentionally put the blues diagonal from each other. Then I went ahead and matted those on white cardstock, and I'm adding them to this red patterned paper for my base. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my pictures. And what I did is I just printed out a whole bunch of pictures of my husband and I from date night from throughout 2020. So we try to, like, once a week go out to dinner together. We have 4 kids. I homeschool, and so we really definitely need to be intentional about taking breaks together. And not every time I take a picture, but every once in a while, probably about once a month, I take a picture of us together. And so I went through all of those for the year and picked out my favorites. And then I went ahead and I printed those in black and white. Now, I printed them in black and white because I have got so many different colors, etc. going on. And I do that a lot when I'm doing a multi-photo layout from several different times when I don't want all the colors to just like overtake the picture. And so printing them all in black and white, and I only printed one of them big, and then the rest I printed in a 2x3 size. You can see I matted all of them in white, and then so I've got my favorite one as the big one up in the top left corner, and then the rest of them I am setting off kilter with each other, each in a spot. Now, one thing I also want to point out here is that my lighting is different as well. So in the pictures on the top right, they're much brighter and much more well lit. They were taken outside, etc. And had I put them all 6 of those pictures in a line together, or put those 2 with some of the ones in the bottom, it would have been obvious. But because I put them up there on the right hand side together and set them away from the other pictures, that kept the lighting difference from being an issue, and it also still allowed me to be able to use them. So that's just an important little tip if you have that going on. I really like to try and keep my lighting very similar in my pictures on a layout, but sometimes in a multi-photo layout like this one, it's just not possible. And so if you can find a way to make that work and not be a distraction, that's a really good thing. Now, the next thing I'm doing is I am taking some of the pieces from the journaling bits package, and you can see that I've cut them in half, and I am using them behind my pictures. I originally cut them in half thinking I was going to use just a piece of them behind the pictures. But then when I started laying them out and putting one at the top and one at the bottom, so it looks like it's a stretched out piece behind it, I really liked the look. And so I decided to just roll with that. So 3 different shapes, but in the same color scheme as the rest of the patterned papers and stuff, and just creates a really unique look. And it was a good way to stretch what was already in the collection. Now, as is fairly typical for my layouts, I've built my base, I've got my pictures on there, then I'm going to add my title. And so what I decided to do for the title is I cut out a big heart in the same patterned paper as I used for my base. And I'm going to put that in the center right there so that I have a spot, kind of a white space spot for my title, because otherwise it was going to get completely drowned in everything else. I pulled out the foam stickers from this collection, and I'm going to use the word forever. Wasn't exactly the title I originally had in mind. However, the colors worked, and I really liked the dimension. I liked the font, all of it. I just really liked. So I decided to change my title, and I actually end up liking the title that I do in the end better anyways. But I'm not going to finish the title quite yet. You'll see in just a little bit how I finish it off and why I like it so much. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do some embellishing, and basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of sorting through what I want to do for the embellishing. If you can see up on the left-hand side, I have a aqua colored bird with some hearts. And so I want to go with some shapes, but I'm also trying to coordinate the colors. You can see that the aqua bird kind of blends in. That was intentional. I want it to be a very subtle detail because there's enough going on right now. I do not need the embellishments to be overwhelming. And so I'm just sorting through everything from the foam stickers to the puffy stickers to the cardstock stickers to the bits and pieces, all the different embellishments that I have to see what I have that will coordinate but not overwhelm. And so I'll do a mixture of little icon characters, one for each square, and then I'm also going to do hearts and just stick with very simple, very straightforward. And again, also because I'm doing a lot, trying to keep it uniform. I will vary where I place them, but keeping the approach uniform helps with the design overall. It also makes it a little easier on the brain to figure out what to do. And I immediately went to that. Okay, what can I do that's uniform so I don't have to overthink this too much? As it comes together, you can see how the embellishments really are enhancing and bringing the eyes into the picture and not being a distraction. It's always a tricky balance on things like this, especially on multi-photo layouts, to not go too crazy. And sometimes, there's other styles and approaches where we like to go a little crazy. This is one of those times where it's very intentionally accentuating, but not doing too much. Kind of like makeup. When we put our makeup on, we don't want to be like over the top. We want it to accentuate our beauty. So now, I still have the title sitting in the same spot, but I'm about to change it up for you. And you can see I've had that little love sticker sitting there for a while, but I don't love the love sticker. What I decided to do is to go into my letter stickers. I had some Color Vibe Basics, a letter sticker book. And I'm going to use these little block letters, and I spelled out dating. So my title became Dating Forever, which I just love because it really perfectly describes our relationship and one of our goals. So that was perfect. And it was a chance to use the block letters, which I don't use a lot of, but they worked really nicely in this case. They weren't too big, but they still stick out what they are. So there you have it, a Valentine theme collection used to tell the story of my husband and I. I would love to hear, how are you documenting your story with your spouse? And do you have special ways that you do that? And that is it. So be sure to visit Simple Stories today to check out the close-ups of this. And we will see you again next time with another video.